In the hidden corners of prehistory, long before cities and empires, the Earth was a realm of titanic forces. Mountains rose like the bones of ancient gods, rivers carved the earth with unstoppable power, and forests stretched endlessly, concealing secrets that modern humans could scarcely imagine. In these untamed landscapes, two extraordinary powers contended for supremacy, forces that were neither fully human nor entirely myth, giants whose presence shaped the land itself, and the raiders, cunning and ruthless, who challenged them with unmatched ferocity. Their clash was not a matter of legend, it was the raw, brutal struggle of survival and dominance. Giants moved with a deliberate, unstoppable rhythm, their size alone enough to inspire awe and fear. They were not mindless beasts, nor were they ordinary humans. Ancient texts and oral traditions hint at beings of incredible strength, towering figures whose actions left permanent marks on the earth. Forests fell beneath their footsteps, rivers shifted courses, and the very skies seemed to bend to their presence. They were custodians of a world older than human memory, carriers of knowledge and power that had been lost to time. To confront them required courage beyond the ordinary, skill honed through countless battles, and an understanding of terrain few humans ever possessed. The raiders were the opposite, smaller, more agile and cunning. They thrived in the shadows, masters of ambush and strategy. Raiders were not merely hunters, they were opportunists who understood that size could be challenged by intellect, coordination, and the ruthless exploitation of weaknesses. They traveled in bands, using fire, traps, and deceptive tactics to harry the giants, seeking to extract resources, knowledge, or territory. Their lives depended on constant movement, and their victories were often measured not by conquest, but by survival, by the ability to escape with life intact after challenging beings far larger and stronger than themselves. The encounters between giants and raiders were cataclysmic. When they met, the ground trembled, trees shattered, and the sky itself seemed to roar in response to their fury. Raiders struck swiftly, disappearing into shadows as giant hands swept the earth, leaving destruction in their wake. Yet the giants were not invincible. Legends speak of their moments of vulnerability, when their size became a liability, when arrogance or slow reaction allowed smaller, faster enemies to exploit weaknesses. It was a clash defined by extremes: brute strength against cunning, endurance against strategy, instinct against calculation. Archaeological whispers hint at the traces of these confrontations: massive footprints, impossibly large weapons, and fortified sites suggest that such conflicts were more than stories. They were events that shaped the very trajectory of early human civilizations. Raiders did not merely survive, they learned, adapted, and evolved. Giants, in turn, were forced to contend with adversaries who understood the subtleties of terrain, weather, and human ingenuity. Each encounter left scars, not only on the land, but on the collective consciousness of those who bore witness. The memory of these battles carried forward in myth, painting giants as both protectors and destroyers, raiders as cunning predators and saviors of knowledge. The strategies employed by raiders reveal a sophistication that challenges modern assumptions about prehistoric intelligence. They observed, planned, and coordinated attacks, often choosing the time, place, and method with painstaking precision. Ambushes were crafted using the natural environment: rivers to slow the giants, cliffs to funnel them, and fire to confuse and divide. Raiders exploited the smallest of weaknesses. A misstep, fatigue, or a momentary distraction could turn the tide of battle. These were not random skirmishes, they were calculated campaigns waged in the shadows of a world dominated by beings of unimaginable power. Giants, despite their size, were not oblivious. They displayed behaviors that suggest awareness and adaptability. Many legends depict them guarding sacred sites, monumental constructions, or hidden knowledge. They were territorial, yet selective, only attacking when threatened or challenged. Some narratives describe negotiation-like interactions with human communities, hinting at a complex understanding of social dynamics. When they fought, it was not out of mindless rage, but a strategic response, protecting not just themselves, but the lands and resources that were crucial to their survival. The clash between giants and raiders was more than physical, it was ideological. Giants embodied permanence, stability, and the weight of the natural order, while raiders represented change, ingenuity, and the human drive to conquer the impossible. When raiders attacked, they challenged not only the might of their opponents, but the very structure of the world itself. They sought to bend it, shape it, and exploit it, testing boundaries that the giants had defended for centuries. The outcome of these conflicts was uncertain, and each battle reshaped the delicate balance between power and survival. Stories from ancient cultures hint at alliances, betrayals, and tactics that seem almost modern in their complexity. Raiders occasionally allied with one another to overcome larger threats, pooling resources and intelligence to achieve objectives that no single group could manage alone. Giants, too, displayed social organization, sometimes acting collectively to defend territory or raise monuments of power. This interaction of intelligence and force created a dynamic world, one where survival depended not merely on strength, but on adaptability, awareness, and an unyielding drive to endure. The environmental impact of these clashes was profound. Forests were flattened, riverbeds rerouted, and mountain passes altered. Raiders' incursions forced giants to abandon territories, while giants' sheer presence shaped migration patterns, hunting grounds, and settlement locations. These interactions created feedback loops, driving evolution, shaping ecosystems, and leaving marks that persisted long after the giants themselves vanished. The human experience, too, was irrevocably altered. Lessons learned in these encounters informed the development of tools, weapons, and strategies that would echo through generations. Culturally, the influence of giants and raiders is unmistakable. Tales of monstrous beings and fearless warriors appear in myths across continents, from Europe to Asia, Africa to the Americas. Some myths depict giants as destructive forces, terrifying and uncontrollable. Others cast them as protectors, almost divine in their authority. Raiders, in contrast, appear as tricksters, survivors, and inventors of cunning strategies. These stories are not merely entertainment, they encode the struggles of our ancestors, preserving memories of encounters that were real, terrifying, and transformative. The psychological dimension of these confrontations cannot be underestimated. Humans learned fear, awe, and respect in equal measure. Raiders had to master courage, timing, and ingenuity, while giants, with their immense power, had to contend with forces smaller yet no less dangerous. The lessons of these encounters extended beyond survival. They shaped cognition, social cooperation, and the development of early cultural norms. Understanding the giants, anticipating their reactions, and exploiting opportunities became a mental battlefield as much as a physical one. Evidence of this struggle appears in ancient ruins, massive stone formations, and cave art. In some cases, monolithic structures bear signs of both construction and destruction, suggesting that such human ingenuity confronted the raw force of giants. Artwork depicts battles, hunts, and rituals that hint at the magnitude of the events. These fragments of the past offer glimpses into a world where the lines between myth and reality blur, and where survival depended on understanding forces far greater than ordinary humans could fully comprehend. Despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges, raiders often prevailed, not through brute strength, but through adaptation and intelligence. They learned to move silently, coordinate attacks, and exploit environmental advantages. They observed, planned, and coordinated attacks, often choosing the time, place, and method with painstaking precision. Ambushes were crafted using the natural environment, rivers to slow the giants, cliffs to funnel them, and fire to confuse and divide. Raiders exploited the smallest of weaknesses. A misstep, fatigue, or a momentary distraction could turn the tide of battle. These were not random skirmishes, they were calculated campaigns waged in the shadows of a world dominated by beings of unimaginable power. Giants, despite their size, were not oblivious. They displayed behaviors that suggest awareness and adaptability. Many legends depict them guarding sacred sites, monumental constructions, or hidden knowledge. They were territorial, yet selective, only attacking